So today is the first proper day spring is springing on the farm, which means I'm now in a bit of a rush to get the rest of my willows planted up, especially for this living chicken house I'm building. I've seen in other videos, but I've done quite a few things out of willow this winter now. As you can see, nothing started growing in yet, but I've got my own wedding venue I've been making here. A couple of archways to get in, and then we've got like a pyramid-shaped pergola to get married under. Nice love heart that'll hopefully grow in for various photos and things, and then I basically just did some nice archways to finish off all the way around it. It's quite a big space under here really, and when this grows in it should be a nice cool canopy. The only reason I'm kind of confident to be building all these things this winter is because I built this last winter and it's worked exceptionally well. Literally just took a load of thin poles, stuck them in the ground, twisted them together, and then wrapped it all around a circle of willow that I made for the middle. And last year this was really nice under here in the summer. It does make like a perfect garden pergola, this sort of structure. As you can see, we used many a night out here on the table with the barbecue and the fire going. Now, I didn't prune any off it this year because I wanted to sort of give it the best start by not having to regrow bits that's already grown. So a lot of these poles that are on top are probably going to get too thick to stay on after this year, but like I say, we're thickening up nice at the bottom and we're getting good growth over the whole thing. So fingers crossed, get a similar sort of thing happen with this new living chicken house. So let's go finish it off. And hopefully it will be even denser on the top than that. It'll be basically like a completely covered canopy because it's a hell of a lot of whips going in the ground today. I've got quite a lot left. I'd say a good couple of hundred whips left to go in. So just as I've been walking the dog every day, I've been walking by and sticking in a few just to sort of test it out with how I like the look of it. And as you can see, I'm building pretty much a nice solid fence, and I'm going to do that all the way along the side of this chicken house. And then hopefully this will act as a bit of a shed for them that I can keep them inside if needs be. Now what I'm actually going to do on the inside, even when we get the sort of bulk canopy growing in, is put a big tarp or canvas underneath it, so we've got a bit of a triangle roof shape, and that way it should keep the floor nice and dry. And then when we start putting wood chip, which we'll be gathering off the edge of this underneath it, to form a nice deep litter bed underneath. And the tarp will also give me a nice dry area we can put roosts under and put nest boxes under, because this is mostly just going to be for them to sleep in and lay their eggs in. 99.9% of the time when they're up and about, they're going to be running about all over this field somewhere. But yeah, government reg wise, I am going to need to be able to contain them in a structure, so to speak. So if I can get this nice and thick along the edge, and the tarp sealed against the edge is nice too, this will be a nice contained structure. I can put them on lockdown if needs be. We've been pegging out the edge of an area around this chicken house as well, which I'm actually going to put proper fence in, and then that way I can actually run an aviary net over the top of this whole thing if I need to as well for another bird flu outbreak. Yeah, not a massive fan of keeping them in the shed. I get that's why the regulations have it so you've got enough space inside the shed they can live in there full time, but from my experience it's never the best to keep them inside all the time. You still need them to be able to come and go. So to pretty much make the fence, like I say, I'm just sticking them in every couple of centimetres because a chicken will try and squeeze through that gap, but from what I've seen from my other fences that I've done, this far apart's probably best because after a season or two they're all going to end up sort of just a bit thicker than the ones that I've made the main support arches out of, so these gaps close up pretty effectively. As you can see on this fence I put in about 4 years ago, these are really thick, and they started out as thin as that. And it's not the end of the world if to keep them in ever. I just need to run a bit of chicken wire around the bottom of this. Hopefully though this little cage suffices. Well, it's pretty tough going to get them through the first bit, but once you're through the sort of compacted mat of roots and all that, it's not too bad to get these in. As you can see, they're a bit twisty, some of them, so I'm probably going to have to put some sort of extra bracing on around the middle just to lock them all up against the main structure, but I'd anticipated doing that anyway, as it should be as simple as just tying a stick across the middle to all the main support beams, and then it will lock them all in place. I've only got these two little bays left to do, but I've come across a bit of a problem now. Because I've used so many building other things this winter, I've only got thinner, smaller ones left, so I'm going to have to do a bit of digging through this one to find There's smaller but thicker ones to finish this last bit off, but the rest of it's looking good. I've fished out all the good ones into this stack now, so fingers crossed that's enough, but I'm not sure it is. So I've got the last bit done, but as you can see they're a little bit thin, but they all should take, so they all should get a bit thicker this year anyway, really. And now my idea is to take these big old long ones, pin them to the side with a bit of string, and then hopefully pin all these small ones that we've got going vertical over the middle a little bit. So I'm going to have to use a bit of this paracord to tie on these beams to hold them pinned against the side. Use my little trusty filleting knife to cut some long metre lengths then. So yeah, the basic plan now, take these really, really long ones, feed them down the side a bit, and just tie them on all the major hoops. And now this is all pinned, space them out a bit better. We've got something to provide pressure against them to hold them roughly in place. Right, it's starting to come together now. You can sort of see what I'm saying. As you can see, slapping that side one in has curved all these in ever so slightly, and now they're all just about poking up from the ridge line. The ones are a bit too thick though, so I may put another bend over the top like that, but I don't know. Kind of think it'll look nice with a square top. Square, it's going to get very bushy very fast hopefully, so it won't really be square for long. The only thing left to do is seal up the end. As you can see, I've just quickly thrown 2 across to make this X, and I'm going to be leaving this most of this bottom bit wide open because this is where the chickens are going to come and go. But I've got to make it a small enough gap that I can close it up if I need to with a board or something. But I'm going to try and fill the edges of this little arch in with some more willows too. So I've gone and ran out of them now. I've managed to get 5 in, one tying the other 4 in on both sides. The beauty of building like this though is I can just add a few more of these on when I get a few more come up next year in the winter time, or probably try and plant some live in the summer if needs be, but I really think this is just going to grow nice how it is now. Would be nice to have a few more so I can sort of finish this sort of pattern off along the front here, and then have a few more to maybe run at diagonals to sort of fully lock all these in the perfect spacing. But like I say, I can get to that next year with this if it grows in nice. You probably can tell, but you might not be able to, on this cross pattern fence that I've done before, I've actually added in, oh there's one, thinner ones that haven't taken the next year. So it still works if you want to build the fence up over a couple of year period. Fortunately though, most of this fence worked first time. Haven't got around to re-weaving it yet this year though. The tops of this one all definitely need a trim because I'm trying to keep this one so it's fairly bare on the actual cross pattern, and then these tops become like a nice thick bush all the way along, so it's got some real good shape to it is my long-term plan. But yeah, it's grown in nice after a couple of years, this one. I'll be doing a bit of an update a bit later on in the year when all of these living structures actually start growing in, but the main ones I want to work well are this chicken run and the wedding venue of course, but the chicken run predominantly because if I can build little shelters like this, I can dot these around quite effectively in various different fields and have quite a few chickens again living in a sustainable house. Because I don't actually think I've mentioned this so far in the video, but the idea of having these houses like this grown in nice, so when winter time comes, trim off all the excess, chip it up, put it underneath, then you've got your winter bedding. So it's shelter for the whole year. Then in the winter time, when you need to put an extra bed in, you get it straight from the house itself is the plan. Basically all the trees are starting to sprout their little flowers, little first leaves out now, so it shouldn't be long before we know if they've taken. And if they do take, it might be a lot of water in this year because I suspect it's going to be a fairly dry summer, so I'm going to need to be on top of keeping them well watered if I want them to last until next year. Because what usually happens if they do die after a couple of months of being in the ground, the root area will still be alive. So the whole pole that you've put in will just be a waste, and then the next year it'll grow from the root area again. As yeah, like I've said in a few other videos, it's a bit of a miracle tree. You just only need a tiny piece of willow to be in the ground. It shoots roots out. Since it's got enough energy, new tree. So that's it then. You've seen the living structure made, and I've pointed out my other ones. Hopefully this has given some ideas to you people out there on how to build something in your garden yourself, or living structure for an animal yourself. And if you've watched this video all the way through, don't forget to give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Until next time then, bye bye.